my name is Askmrrobot and I'm the author of the blog The Misty Tea House. In this video we are going to see me healing the encounter against Blackhand heroic, while I provide a running commentary to give you an insight of how I'm thinking and set my strategies in the encounter. First, I want to set a disclaimer: this is by no means the best possible way of doing this encounter. I've found 100 different things where I could improve myself. But I did land on about 46k HPS, which according to Askmrrobot was at a 92% benchmark for my gear. So apparently I did something right. For this fight I had the 2-set bonus, but not the 4-set. My spirit was at about 1600, my unbuffed crit was at 20%, and my unbuffed multi-strike at 26%. As for talents, I used Xuan for the extra DPS, but Rushing Jadewind is probably the better choice since you will need the burst healing in the third phase. Dampen Harm is also a great choice for this fight, since the damage comes in several waves and sometimes as physical damage, so diffuse magic isn't that effective. We had 6 healers for this fight: 2 Disc, 2 Holy Priest, me as a Mistweaver, plus a Resto Druid. It was probably one too many healers. You could go with 4 or 5 without a problem, but none of the healers had a viable off-spec, so we went for it and downed the boss anyway. This is more of an execution fight than DPS check, at least on heroic, so it worked. But let's start. As you can see at the start, I don't open up in crane stance as I usually do. This is because the first demolition will happen soon and I need to begin spreading my renewing mist right away. I stack up my chi in preparation, but I don't spend it on the tank, as you can see. The demolitions happens very fast, and then massive demolition comes in a wave of 3. We use Aspect of the Fox for this mechanic. I pop Xuan and Dampen Harm, maybe a few seconds late. During the demolition I just try to cram in as many uplifts as possible. I also scan the raid to detect if any players are running particularly low, for which I would have single target heal them. In between the demolitions, I just try to keep my renewing mist up. I clip my Mistweaving buff for Jade Mist procs as often as I can. For the second demo, I'm going to use Revival on the third wave. I could also use Fortifying Brew for defensives, but I still had some charges left on Dampen Harm, so I saved it. I keep moving to avoid as many demo swirls as possible to minimize the damage. I almost ran into a couple of mines there, but stopped just before. I top off the raid just before the transition to second phase, which can hurt quite a lot. I'm standing also completely wrong and don't get the barrier mitigation. In the second phase I start off by running into the middle to avoid getting fixated by siege makers. They're gonna enter the room later and fixate on the closest player. This phase is pretty much cakewalk at the beginning, so I just spread some renewing mist and do some uplifts here and there. Whenever a siege maker is active, I try to have it in my field of sight so I don't get any impaling throw in my face because I'm not paying attention. We stay spread this phase, which means I'm mostly relying on uplift for heals. There will be spike damage on some players, mostly the tanks and group 2, which are our designated balcony group. But mostly this phase is about avoiding bombs and impaling throws. Healers have to be ready to act if any player fail a mechanic, which would result in a very high damage. I use defensives quite freely here, just to save some heals and mana. The goal is to have a fully topped raid for the third phase, and healers should have as much of their mana left as possible. Though there are some heavy damage on a few players, I seldom use Enveloping Mist here. Instead I focus the injured players with Surging Mist and then use the chi on uplift to keep the raid health up. If a player is taking really heavy damage, I burst them up with Thunder Focus Tea, at least in this phase. I used Enveloping Mist only 5 times in this fight, and that was only in the third phase. Cast Uplift 56 times, however. Here you can see the raid damage is starting to ramp up from the explosive shards. I'm trying to heal faster to pace with the damage. I don't have full mana and sit on 20 stacks of mana tea, which is bad. Yes, I am ashamed of myself. Nowadays I have a weak aura to alert myself if anything like this happens again. When the raid damage looks like this, I keep casting Uplift until I'm forced to single target heal someone because they're about to die. It's a constant way up. I must keep the raid health up, but it's so important that we don't lose any players in this phase. Now I'm channeling Mana Tea, and I keep my eyes fixated on the raid frames to be ready to interrupt my channel and save anyone who drops dangerously low. It's starting to become really fun now. I'm targeting low health players with Soothing Mist, clip it with Renewing Mist, and then cast Uplift in between. I'm trying to use my global cooldowns as effectively as possible, always clipping and spell queuing. My eyes are on the raid frames, but I also keep my attention on where I'm positioning myself. Here we transition into phase 3. Luckily no one died from the damage when we transitioned, which can very easily happen if the raid isn't topped off. We group up against the edge of the platform. People with bombs run to the left and people with marked for death run to the right. Healers stay a little bit back to avoid getting hit by the massive Shattering Smash, since we're supposed to keep healing all the way through even when the raid is flying. We rotate around the platform clockwise, so we always leave bomb craters behind us. The raid health is quite stable, but with any Shattering Smash it will go down in a large spike, so we want to top off players in between as much as we can. Players who take especially heavy damage are players who are marked for death, and the tanks of course. They are running the most risk of dying when the smash comes, so they are priority. Here I'm also really starting to wish I had Rushing Jadewind. The raid is taking damage from the overheated aura, which does more and more damage the longer the fight goes on. Now we're starting to lose players. You will also see me soon get hit by a straying Impaling Throw, which was luckily mitigated partly by Dampen Harm. As I fly through the air I also pop Fortifying Brew and then quickly roll out of the lava, just managing to survive. We're in a critical part of the fight and we start to focus more on healing the tanks than the raid. If both tanks die, we're screwed. We lose one tank anyway, and I switch to the other tank and heal only him. As you can see, we managed to kill Blackhand just before the whole raid died. But that's it for this video. Since this is a bit of an experiment, I'm really looking forward to hear your feedback of how it went. I'm mostly interested to hear about what sort of things I should include and what things I don't need to comment on. In general, what type of information is most helpful to you. Until next time then guys, thank you for watching.